All right. Hey, it's 1 o'clock. So we should call this meeting to order. Does that work for you, Max?
Yes, indeed.
Awesome. Let's do a roll
Chair
call.
Chair Scott McCallum is noted as present. Nadira Broom,
Present.
Vivian Carlisle Smith,
Here.
Lillian Goodman, I see Lillian's here. She just needs to get off. There we are.
Present.
Dr. Alan Labrum
Present.
and Cassie Trosper.
Present.
Mr. Chair, we do have a quorum. The meeting can continue.
Well, excellent. Welcome, Cassie. You're the next item on the agenda, so it's my pleasure to welcome you. I'm going to read, I have a little bio here, so I'm going to read it if that's okay.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Awesome. Cassie N. Trosper represents the American Council of the Blind. Cassie Trosper serves at the local, regional, and national levels of the American Council of the Blind in several roles, including Secretary of the Next Generation, Co-Chair of Next Generation Convention, and President of the Veterans of ACB. Locally, Ms. Trosper serves as both the Oregon Chapter Secretary and Membership Chair. Wow, you are super busy, as well as holding the Southwest Chapter Secretary and Program Chair positions. Ms. Trosper is honored to serve as a commissioner at the Oregon Commission for the Blind. You are a U.S. Army veteran who learned that you would go blind later in life, and you've made it your mission to serve other citizens who may be facing or going through vision loss. Ms. Trasper holds an AAS from Southwestern Oregon Community College in Coos Bay and a medical assisting certificate from Everest College in Tacoma. You're the proud mother of 3 children, ages 9, 16, and 20. Wow, you are super busy. We're so glad to have you. Welcome, Cassie.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here and be part of this board.
Well, we
Thank
are
you for your service.
Yeah, and thank you for your service. Thank you for saying that, Vivian. Cassie, did you want to say anything else about yourself?
Uh, no, I could set an eye of caution. My kiddo is in the background, so if you guys hear somebody, most of you guys have seen her if you've been at the ACB of Oregon meetings. She's the one that runs around with a microphone and does the door prizes. So you may hear her occasionally in the background. But other than that, like I said, I'm super excited to be here to represent ACB and to kind of represent the veterans too. I kind of wear dual hats with that perspective. So glad I can be here and hope I can uh, be able to make an impact with this board as well.
Fantastic. I'm sure you will fulfill that. I wish we had door prizes that your daughter could run around and give away. I've actually heard that. I've not been to the ACB of Oregon meetings in a while, but I've heard about your your daughter doing that. So that's very cool. Next on the agenda, Vivian is leaving us. And so I want to say thank you to Vivian for her years of service on the OCB board. Vivian, I have always appreciated you and your kind of no nonsense way about you. You say what you mean what you say. And I think that is so valuable on this board. I know that you've received a plaque from the OCB, and for the rest of the commissioners, it says Commission for the Blind, Blindness Without Barriers, and it has our state seal on it. It says Oregon Commission for the Blind presents this award to Vivian Carlisle Smith with gratitude for, gosh darn it, with gratitude for your guidance and commitment. Commissioner from June 2016 to April of 2024. Vivian, thank you so much. Would you like to say anything?
I just want to say thank you to everybody at the agency. It's been my pleasure to represent the NFB in this position. And yes, I am very passionate. And I know sometimes it's hard to hear what I say, but like you said, I say what I mean. And I've enjoyed it, and it's been an absolute pleasure to work with all of you. And I wish you all the very best in the future.
Thank you, Vivian. Did I hear that you're moving to Texas? Is that what's It's happening.
Yes, yes,
And-
sir. Looking
Oh,
forward to it.
awesome. I hope you'll get
I'm gonna
engaged.
miss everybody, but it's gonna be nice.
Yeah, warmer weather at least.
Yes. A little drier though. It's not a wet heat, it's a dry heat, so I can deal with that a little bit better.
Awesome. At this moment, I'd like to, if any of the other commissioners would like to say anything to either Cassie or Vivian, now would be a time.
Yes, welcome, Cassie and Vivian. Been a pleasure knowing you, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Hey, Vivian, this is Laurel. Yeah, just good luck out there. Yeah, I agree with Scott said. I always love hearing what you have to say, and I agree with you 100% of the time. I love your voice and your opinion. So thank you for all that you've done. And also welcome, Cassie.
Thank you.
Welcome, Cassie and Vivian. I wish I had a chance to meet you in person, but good luck on your next part of your journey.
Thank you, and good luck to you as well.
And Vivian, this is Cassie. I didn't get a chance to work with you, but I'm excited for your move, and I hope that holds some good things for you. I actually served in the military at Fort Hood in Texas for 3 years, so it is a very different climate.
Awesome. Thank you for your military service. That is so awesome. I'm from a military family myself. My nephew served in Iraq for a year as a medic, and my father and my brothers, and it's an awesome calling, and I appreciate you accepting it. And good luck in your position.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. And again, welcome Cassie. And thank you again, Vivian, for your service. It's been a pleasure serving with you. I hope you get engaged with NFB in Texas. They have a lot going on there as well. And so maybe our paths will cross again.
I hope so.
Right on. Well, let's continue on then with our agenda. We move into the minutes approval. Everybody was sent the minutes, and so we're looking for approval of those minutes from February 2nd.
As my last official motion, I motion to accept those minutes.
I love it, going out of the bang. Perfect. And can I have a second for Vivian's motion?
This is Cassie. I'll second.
Oh, right on. I like this. Getting engaged right away. So we've got a motion from Vivian to accept the minutes and a second from Cassie to accept those minutes. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. All right, those minutes have been approved. Thank you, Vivian and Cassie, for the motion in the second. Next up, we will do audience introductions. And so it looks like we have some folks in the audience who are new to us today, and we have folks from the commission. So I'll let you take it away, Max.
Thank you, Scott. First, we have our Executive Director, Daisha Johnson, Angel Hale, Director of Rehabilitation Services. Kat Martin is the Chief Financial and Information Officer. Melinda Carlson, Director of Independent Living Services. Jim Portillo, Director of the Orientation and Career Center. And Ron Stewart, Director of the Business Enterprise Program. And would other members of the audience please introduce themselves for us?
This is Carrie Muth. I am the OCB of Oregon president. I also am the ICAP VR career coach at Southwestern Oregon Community College.
Thank you, Carrie.
I'm Susan Fanner. Oh, go ahead. I didn't mean to jump the gun.
You got it, Suzanne. Go for it.
Okay, my name is Susan Fanner. I'm in the Eugene Downtown Lions Club here in Eugene, Oregon, and I am serving as the chair for our annual picnic which is named after two of our past blind lions, Pat Richardson and Annie Harris. And so it's called the Pat and Annie Picnic, but it's basically a picnic for low vision to no vision folks who are from our area.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, commissioners and everyone else. This is Randy Hout, a lifelong blind Oregon resident and chair of the elected committee. And I'm here to participate and support the agency's goals, objectives for the business enterprise program going forward. And I'd just like to say I continue to be very optimistic and supportive of Director Stewart. It seems like he's only been here a short while, which is in fact the case, but in that short while, he's really dug in and worked to improve communications and the direction of the program. And so I appreciate that.
Great. That's quite the introduction, Randy. Welcome. All right. Next introductions.
This is Michael Wolf. I'm the business manager for the commission. Glad to be here.
Hey, Michael. Mary Lee, you want to introduce yourself? Or Art, you go for it, Art.
Okay. Thank you, Scott. Finally got unmuted. This is Arthur Stevenson, member of the Randolph Shepherd Vending Program in Oregon since 1986. Here briefly to make a public comment, and then I got to get back to work.
Awesome. Glad you're here, Arthur. Good to hear your voice again. I swear I saw Mary Lee Turner here earlier. Mary Lee, you want to introduce yourself?
It always helps if you take yourself off mute. This is Mary Lee Turner, former staff person with the Commission for the Blind, and I'm here today to get to hear what's going on and make any comment about the request for the Commission for the Blind to support a picnic being held in Eugene, sponsored by Eugene Downtown Lions Club, as a means of increasing the community, access to the community for folks who are experiencing sight loss. That's
Awesome.
me.
We're glad you're here, Mary Lee. It's been a while.
Thank you. Yes, it has been.
Is there anyone else to introduce yourself? I think that's it, actually. So
I can go. My name's Amber Heights.
Amber.
Hi. My name's Amber Heights. I am living here in Portland area. I am a Nike accessibility ambassador. I work for Nike right now, and previously worked for the state of Oregon vocational rehabilitation. I'm also a blind hairstylist. Been really looking forward to joining these sessions and seeing how I can participate and bring my empowerment and positivity into the game. So thanks. Happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday to you and welcome. Okay, now I think that's it. Just want to give one more shot here. Okay, yeah, I think that's it. So now we will move into public comment. And Arthur, I heard you say you were here for public comment. So if you want, take it away. You got 3 minutes for everybody each. So.
Oh yeah, I remember. I definitely do, Scott. Thank you very much. Hi, yes, this is Arthur Stevenson, longtime participant in the Randolph Shepherd Vending Program here in Oregon. In fact, since the year 1986. The Business Enterprise Program has been a wonderful opportunity. I've made a living, supported my family, and to that fact, I am very grateful. learned I was going blind at the age of 20 with retinitis pigmentosa, and had the opportunity to get training at the Oregon Commission for the Blind, and then go to college for 3 years and receive 3 business degrees, which learned a lot there, that's for sure. And that's when I got involved in the vending program, which is a very great opportunity for blind persons here in the state of Oregon. I would like to say I'm pleased with the new director of our program, Ron, and wish him many successes. And also Randy, the chair. Took a long time, but I hear he's going to be able to participate in the meeting, and that makes me happy because I know we've been trying to get that done for a long time. So the end of May is going to be my last day in the vending program, and then at the age of 68, I'm going to be officially retired, fishing and doing other things. But anyways, God bless the Oregon Commission for the Blind for all the opportunities that I've had and the learning experiences. And whenever I run into another blind person, I will definitely encourage them to be all they can be, because I've experienced a lot as a blind person, which I never would have experienced if I hadn't gone blind. I was a mill worker before that happened. Anyways, God bless you all. Good luck to you all. And Randy, good luck to you and Ron, because after I retire. Oh, one more thing. At the Marion County Jail, there's still a lot of vending there that has been there for a long, long time. And the agency has not practiced our priority to obtain the vending in that location. I would encourage the board
3 minutes
to make sure that that is procured, so we'll have more money coming into the program. God bless. Goodbye.
Thank you, Art, and congratulations on your upcoming retirement. We're excited for you for all that fishing and doing whatever you want to do. I love it. All right. Next in public comment, anyone else want to take the floor for 3 minutes? Go for it, Susan. Oh, you're muted.
Now this is when my dog is going to start barking. My chocolate, I gave him a toy so he could play with it. Now he wants me to play with it with him. So I am just going to quickly say that I'm sorry, this probably isn't going to work. I'm sorry.
We can maybe come back to you if maybe someone else has other public comment.
This is Carrie.
Take it away, Gary.
Okay. I'd just like to say that we at ACB Oregon are grateful that Cassie wanted to step up and represent us on this board. And I know Michael Babcock did a great job during his time of service, and just looking forward to the growth in Cassie. So I'm glad she's there for you guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Carrie. Thanks for being here. And we are glad as well that Cassie stepped up and is willing to be here. And yes, we did appreciate Michael very much. Let's see. Anyone else want to say something? Susan, maybe you got your dog under control. You want to give it a shot?
I'll give it one more shot.
All right.
Basically, I would like to thank Daisha Johnson. When I found out that the Oregon Commission for the Blind, who we've always partnered with since like 2002, we've had this picnic that we've held, and the commission has been willing to do the invitations to 150 or so residents in the Mid-Willamette Valley to participate in the picnic. And typically we have 45 to 60 residents, and maybe 25 of them we would give transportation to and from the picnic. And when we discovered that we were no longer going to be able to count on the commission to send out the invitations or to do the RSVPs for transportation, I did reach out to Dacia, and I sent a copy to you as well, Chair Scott. And what I just want to say is I'm hoping that the entities that you have told me about, Dacia, are going to be able to help us make this happen and be a success. Thank you.
Awesome. And yes, I did receive your email. Dacia and I spoke about this, and I'm hopeful of that as well. And Eugene is near and dear to my heart. I used to live there and work in that area for many years. So thank you, and thanks for being here. Anyone else? All right, not hearing any, I will then move forward into the next section of our agenda, and that is you, Dacia, with the Executive Director's Report. Take it away.
Thank you, Chair Scott, and welcome, commissioners. We are already in April. This year is flying by, as it usually does. I want to start out by, first of all, expressing my gratitude to Vivian for your service to the commission. There has been a significant amount of challenges and opportunities since 2016 during your years of service. And it's really, really helpful. You articulated it so well, Vivian, with your voice of just concern, advocacy, pushing the organization to think on behalf of all Oregonians who are blind. And it's just been such a value and so appreciated. So thank you so much for your time. And I hope you keep in touch with us as you have your hot Texas summers and hopefully mild winters. And also want to welcome, thank you, Vivian. And I want to welcome Cassie to the commission as well. Cassie, you bring so many wealth of experiences and talents with you, and we're excited for your service to the commission. So I will start with having Kat, our CFO, go over the donations and financial report.
Thank you, Dacia. Good afternoon, Chair McCallum and commissioners. Turning to the bequests and donations fund statement forwarded to you in advance of this meeting, our cash balance in the fund increased by $32,000 to $317,000 on February 29th, 2024. As a cost savings measure to reduce our general fund obligation, the legislature directed OCB to use a portion of donations to match the salary expense of one transition counselor. That obligation was once again carried forward to the current biennium, and with $24,000 of donated funds expended through February, the unobligated donations balance after this adjustment is $290,285. Referencing the financial status report, also provided to you in advance of this meeting, OCB's legislatively adopted budget was for $27,820,809, 66 positions and 66 full-time equivalents during 23-25, where $7.8 million of that is general funding, $1.1 million other funds, and $18.9 million federal fund limitation. Based upon 8 months of activity as of February 29th, a variance to our legislatively adopted budget is projected for the end of the biennium, with general fund fully utilized, other fund under approved limitation by $493,000 or 43.4%, and federal funding under approved limitation by $942,606 or 5.2%. The total variance projected is $1.4 million or 5.2%, where the approved budget again is $27.8 million and projected expenditures $26.4 million. Since my last report to the board, the budget requests, which we considered technical in nature, were approved by the legislature in the February short session. The first request moved funds from IT professional services to personal services. while increasing the agency full-time equivalent by 1.0 headcount, as well to bring IT help desk support into the agency. With the cost savings realized from this request, the second request included personnel-related changes for 2 positions pending final classification review with DAS Chief Human Resources Office, and a partial fix towards a technical correction in how indirect personnel have been budgeted. Also included in February legislative actions were salary pot adjustments intended to accommodate bargain COLA increases, which were unknown at the time of 23-25 budget development way back in the spring of 2022. Between the recommended budget adjustments and salary pot increases, the Commission's operating budget for 23-25 now stands at general funding, which has been increased by $600,000 to $8.4 million. Other fund limitation has increased to $1.1 million, and federal fund limitation went up by $441,637 to $19,299,483 for a total approved budget of $28,869,741. That ends my report. Is there any questions I can answer for anyone or observations?
Quick question. This is Scott. Is the variance due to just unfilled positions?
Yes.
And what happened to the variance that unspent 1.4 million at the end of the biennium?
Well, the variance with federal is a difference between actual limitation that we have been approved for and what we realistically should be spending. Our federal fund limitation exceeds the cash we will have available to us. So coming in under on the federal side in particular is actually a good thing, as odd as that sounds. Of course, I always want to manage our funding streams closely so that we don't leave any general fund on the table. But federal fund, it's actually a positive thing when I'm projecting an underspend, because if we were projecting to spend right at budget, we'd be in trouble because I don't have that much federal cash to work with.
Fair enough. Thank you for the explanation.
Of course.
Other questions for Kat? All right, hearing none, Kat basically walked through all of the next item, which is the 2024 legislative session recap. The legislature left town a couple of days early, and signing day was, I believe, the 8th of March. So they wrapped up their session. There were a wide variety of statewide bills, but nothing really that impacted us outside of the appropriation bills. So the session was relatively uneventful for us, other than we did receive the approval for the request that you had allowed us to move forward, and Kat's in the final processes of reconciling that in the budget process. Any questions about the legislative session wrap up? The big focus this time was on some changes to some alcohol and drug policies, and obviously the housing shortage, behavioral health, and education. So those were kind of the big focuses, and outside of the budget adjustments. All right, moving on to a federal update. Interestingly enough, March was a busy budget time for us. We were also operating under what's called a continuing resolution on our federal funds. And I think it was, let's see, two weeks ago now, almost, the feds, both the House and the Senate, passed a budget for the remainder of federal fiscal year 2024 that was signed in by the president. We believe that the older blind program was flat funded, which is kind of an ongoing challenge for us, that they are not even giving a cost of living adjustment for the older blind independent living program, which means we're getting less and less money in that program every year. But we believe our federal award is going to increase by over 7% in this grant. There are some differing opinions about whether or not it stayed in the final bill, but we could be looking at a substantive increase for federal fiscal year 2024. That is a good sign. As Kat was describing, budget, if you don't for federal funds, is just spending authority. So the legislature gives us a cap of how much money we could spend. But for example, for wage increases, they give us a set amount of federal funds, but our federal awards don't necessarily go up by that much money. So that's the challenge, is we sometimes looks like we're under budget, but we are, Kat's also trying to track our revenue, because if we don't have the federal money to spend, the budget doesn't do us any good. And we can get ourselves in trouble. So we really have to look at both levers as we're kind of managing the organization in any particular time. So we are going into a conference season for the spring conference. It will be the first opportunity that the entire nation's public VR system will have an opportunity to address the new commissioner in person from RSA, which we're excited about. So we will hopefully have lots of information exchange and best practices and all kinds of good things coming from the spring CSAVR and NCSAB conference. And those are acronyms. So there are two associations that all public vocational rehabilitation agencies belong to. The first is called Council of State Administrators in Vocational Rehabilitation, or you'll hear me affectionately call it CSAVR. The other one is specific to blind organizations or blind units within what are called combined agencies, and that's called the National Council of State Agencies for the Blind, or affectionately called NCSAB. And both of those organizations, of which we are members, hold usually at least 2 major national conferences each year. Any questions on the federal side? We have yet to see our awards from the president's budget signing yet, so we're still operating in the continuing resolution cash, which they kind of piecemeal that out a little bit at a time. So we're hoping that we will get our full awards sooner rather than later. All right, and then my final item is just to give you a progress update on the vocational rehabilitation federal compliance audit. This is an every 3 year, what I like to call a wellness check for us. They just look at some key areas that the feds ask them to review. And we do not have a final result yet. We're expecting to be able to do our exit conference in the next couple of weeks. So it will be at but we do expect at the June meeting to be able to give you an overview of any findings, recommendations, and actions as a result of their work. So and for Cassie's benefit, under the Single Audit Act, the states, when they receive federal awards, actually do the auditing of those awards on behalf of the federal government. And so in Oregon, the Secretary of State has an audits division, and the Secretary of State's audits division does a periodic review of our vocational rehabilitation award, because it's the only one of our awards that meets the threshold that requires the Single Audit Act. And that happens every 3 years. So, and it's a fairly high level review. They're here for about 3 or 4 months, and then they'll provide any findings and recommendations. And then the agency will respond to any actions that are required as a result. So we hope to have that wrapped up, and we'll be able to show the results at your upcoming June meeting.
Vivian.
Hi, Vivian.
Hi, good question regarding donations. And maybe I'm forgetting something, but is there a way that could be set up for someone to make continuing donations on a monthly basis? You know, like, excuse me, like these charities I see, you pay X amount each month, continuing on.
Well, that is a good question. You might be able to, and I'm not a banking person, but you might be able to set up a recurring payment out of like your accounts, I would imagine. We also have created that donations portal on our website. So individuals could actually do that on a recurring basis, I would imagine.
But it's not something that's set up through your system. They would just have to do it themselves each month.
I would think so. Yes,
Okay,
we
okay.
typically have gotten most of our donations come in the form of, I would say, $50, $100 checks from largely seniors who've been touched and benefited from our independent living services and just want to say thank you. Occasionally, on rare occasion these days, we will get a substantive donation from like an estate if somebody passes and they name us in their estate. So that does happen on occasion. At this point, our donations has hovered right around, give or take, a few $100,000 for, gosh, it seems like some time now, several years. And that's because, as Kat pointed out in her financial report, the legislature has directed us to use a portion of the donations to fund a piece of a transition counselor. And as a result of that, any incoming donations are offset by that ongoing expenditure. That was something that we're hoping at some point in the future the legislature will revert back to state funding. Good question, Vivian. All right, any other questions? All right, hearing none, Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you. And thank you, Amber, for your email address. We will then move forward into old business. We are going to hear from, I'm assuming, Angel about the Summer Work Experience Program, and then we'll move into a BEP program update, and then into strategic planning. So, Angel, take it away.
All right, I sure will. Good afternoon, commissioners. Welcome, Cassie. I'm so sorry to see you go, Vivian. Just appreciate the service all of you give to our agency. So my update is around the summer work experience programs that we manage. And I'll start with Portland SWEP, which is, we're going to be small but mighty this summer. We are hearing, just as context, even from Northwest Association for Blind Athletes and other regional programs, that there is a lower participation of students in extracurricular activities and things that are being organized in the summer. We do think it's possibly and most likely the pandemic effect of folks just either wanting to go do other things with their summers and or still having the residual effects of just some of the mental health challenges that have risen as a result of all of the isolation that happened during that time. So that's the context for, we're looking at around 7 to 8 students. We're waiting on 1 eligibility, but for the Portland program, I think we'll be able to give some really extra attention to these students that are coming to Portland. So I am excited about that. And looks like we're super close to getting all of our staffing done for the program, which is really exciting to be able to say this time of year, because a lot of times we're coming to you guys saying, get the word out, because we can't get the coaches that we need and the dorm staff that we need. But we are feeling really strong in this area and feeling like we're going to be able to get staffing secured well in advance of even our orientation. Speaking of orientation, our Portland SWEP orientation is going to be on May 18th at the commission, and then over at Portland State University, which is where we have our residential aspect of our program. Just for folks as a reminder, if you don't know, it's a 6-week program for Portland. So we use the first week to do prep work and get students ready for the workplaces that we have found for them, that our staff are diligently working on even now as we speak, securing those locations for work experiences. and getting them ready to do their interviews and looking smart on the job. So getting their outfits together and all of the things that they're going to need in order to be productive and represent beautifully. And then also, of course, getting the students settled in the dorms and getting to know each other and all of the activities involved there. And of course, also orientation or ability, getting students oriented to the Portland area, getting to their job sites and back to the dorm and to the commission and all the places, stores and banks that they need to get to. So it's a busy first week, and then we have 5 full weeks of primarily work experiences, college exposure kinds of classes, advocacy, all of the things that go into pre-employment transition services, as well as recreational activities that continue to grow the confidence and skills of our students. And let's see, the dates of our Portland program are going to be starting on June 29th, going through August 10th. There will be an ask in here in a minute for the board, but I'll continue on, and then we'll talk about that potential ask for the board for it maybe change in time for your next meeting. So community-based and previously Salem SWEP that's on hold. We have 13 total, 9 of whom would have most likely gone to Salem SWEP that are going to be in community-based work experiences. Again, reminder, our primary issue there is staffing, and we have met with a bunch of our regional programs trying to see if we can secure additional staffing. So far, we have interest, but no contracts that are in places yet, but lots of conversation happening. We're hopeful, not sure, but hopeful that we can get some more buy-in from our regional programs to have teachers for the visually impaired assist in staffing our Salem program. So more to come. We're early yet, but we will be pausing for 2024. And these community-based work experiences are actively underway. We've got almost all of our job development and coaches lined up that we need, and several of them are being staffed by teachers for the visually impaired. I'm very happy to say, as a result of some of the work that's being done around potential contracts, we're going to just be paying them the way that we normally would pay a community-based staff member through a temp agency, like we do with all of the rest of the staff for SWEP. So if that model continues to work and we can get enough people, TVIs raising their hands, that may be another way that we can be looking at staffing our Salem residential program. But for now, we're looking solid for the community-based. This program is going to be running a little bit earlier, so it's going to be starting generally June 24th, ending around July 19th, but we do base that on what students are able to do. Since we don't have a residential aspect for this, we can be a lot more flexible with what both students are looking for and need, and what our employers are looking for and need. So that could shift. That said, the big question of the day for you all is we definitely love bringing our students in to talk to the commission board after or at least sometime near the end of our summer work experience program, so you can really get the full energy and feedback from the students about their experiences in the dorms and at work and recreation. And because of the way that the school year fell and some other issues with with staff and student schedules, we are having to push our program out even a week further for Portland, which is the big one in terms of the energy of the students as they've been living alongside each other. So our ask is if people would have interest in moving our board meeting to the following Friday. So that would mean the next board meeting would be on August 9th. That would allow us to bring students in right at the tail end, since they're wrapping up the very next day. It would be on the heels of the end of SWEP celebration, which is also pretty energizing, and we want to make sure you're aware of that. But the big question of the day is if you would be open to entertaining the 9th of August, 2024.
This is Alan. I'm okay with that.
Okay, great.
This is Scott. I'm also okay with it.
Yay.
And this is Cassie. I'm okay with that.
Nadira, I'm also okay with it.
Oh,
This is Lillian. I'm okay with that as well.
oh, wonderful. Okay, then
We didn't hear from Cassie. The pressure's on Cassie.
I think
Oh,
Cass said,
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yep,
Okay,
I
good.
did. I said I was totally in for it.
thank you guys. I appreciate that. So Max, if we can make note of that and make that change, that would be beautiful. I appreciate your flexibility. I think you're really going to love getting to have the students, and by then we know who the SWEPIs of the summer are too. So it does help kind of culminate the whole thing for you guys to get to experience. So thank you very much. Any questions about upcoming SWEP?
Not a question, but a comment. This is Scott. I'm happy that you're working with regional programs. I'm hoping they'll be really good partners for you in this process.
Me too. Me too. Thank you, Scott. I did want to one quick highlight. We have a lot of returning employers that people are working with, but one new likely employer for our one of our Portland students is Let's Talk podcast at PCC. Which is run by students and represents students with disabilities. And so we think we're going to have at least one student that's going to be able to work on that podcast over the summer, which is really exciting. So.
Super cool.
Yeah.
You should tap into Amber, see if you can get somebody connected with Nike.
Ooh. You heard it here, Amber.
I'm ready. Let's do this.
Love it. Love it.
And Angel, just a clarification, this is Cassie. You said that it's the Salem program that's on hold right now due to staffing shortages, correct?
Yes, that is correct, Cassie.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yep. So if people ever can have any contacts with people that might be interested in being dorm counselors, coaches, dorm managers, assistant manager, we need the whole gamut, and we need highly qualified people who have a lot of experience in the field. That's what we're looking for. So teachers for the visually impaired, or people who've been in the blindness arena that have the skill sets that are really going to benefit our students would be amazing. So send them my way if you have anybody.
I do have a question, if that's okay.
Go for it. Amber.
Okay. For the SWEP program, do you all, first of all, I have had several personal experiences with SWEP, the program, as well as like volunteering to support SWEP through NOWABA, Northwest Association for Blind Athletes, but also working with Folk Rehab. I know they were doing, I can't remember if it was like Swift or
Yep, that's exactly, it was Swift.
Okay, all right. So have they ever partnered with the Commission's SWEP program yet or before? In these kind of situations where there's lower participation or anything? Just a curious question.
Yeah, thank you, Amber, for the question. And yes, we in fact worked very closely with the general agency in the development of SWIFT. And they have a lot of other programs that they manage in the summers. And so they did that program for a couple of summers and opted out of that. It is a big commitment, which we recognize that we take on every summer. And they were more interested in having lighter touch, more experiences throughout the summer, but smaller in the lift in terms of the number of staff that it was going to take to manage the program. So we absolutely have worked with them. It just is not something that they're able to do. Yeah.
That was so cool. I I've stepped away from that state work, so I wasn't aware of that, but such amazing programs. Oh my gosh, just the coolest kids, coolest people. Oh, I loved it. Every time I was ever involved with Swift or SWEP. So I'm happy to see that it's still happening.
It's happening. It's happening.
Yeah.
Let us know if and how you want to be engaged. We always love having commissioners. It's both our commissioners and our the public at large of anything you want to be engaged around that makes sense. We'd sure love it, and especially the end of SWEP celebration, more than welcome.
Hey, Angel, it's Laurel.
Hey, Laurel.
Hey, once you get the dates for I'm sure there's a Silver Falls hike again, right?
Yes, the 20th
We already have it?
of July. We're looking at potentially shifting it so that the community-based folks would be able to join because they're ending on the 19th, but we may keep it on the 20th and still invite as many of the community-based students as possible. But that's our most likely current date is the 20th of July, and we'd love to have you.
Awesome. Yes, I will check my calendar and hopefully I can commit to that. Yes, so fun.
And just in case folks are wondering, we have for the past few years been having both Portland and Salem, and this will be Portland and community-based, hopefully, students meet with Northwest Association of Blind Athletes at Silver Creek, and they do a hike, and then they have lunch there, and so we're looking at doing that again this summer, and any commissioners that are interested in joining, please reach out to Max, and then we can coordinate with through Max and make sure that people are set to go. All right, if there's no further questions, then thank you so much for your time. We're really looking forward to this summer and to sharing all the things that we're either planning or that we're going to be doing with the students. So again, reach out if there's anything at all that I can be helpful in coordinating your involvement around with SWEP this summer.
Awesome. Thank you, Angel. Just struck me. I wonder if there's ever a possibility for Oregon SWEP and the DSB's version there, which is called Yes, for them to meet in the middle, I'll call it the middle, at WSSB for some sort of social opportunity that we could host, whether it was a dance or just a fun day at the pool and our climbing wall and all that kind of stuff. Just planting that seed for future thoughts.
I love that idea.
Right. Good.
Okay, let's have our people talk to each other.
Okay, we'll do that.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
All right.
Yeah, can we all go?
Yeah,
sure.
Right.
Sure. Yeah, we're putting in a blind soccer pitch this summer, so that'll be ready for next year. And
nice.
So yeah, there's lots of cool things that are happening, but it would be kind of fun for those two different state programs of all these young adults to get together, because they grow so much during those summer programs. And I don't know, I think it would be a neat opportunity. They're all about the same age. They all been doing something similar. We could form some lifelong friendships and connections that might help them later in life. So
I love that. I love that. We'll have to look at dates and make sure that they match up, but I would love that.
Yeah. Okay. We'll have our people talk.
Sounds great.
All right. Next up in our old business is the Business Enterprise Program update. I'm guessing that's you, Ron, and then I know we're going to have Randy speaking with us as well. So take it away.
Good afternoon. I apologize, but I lost my voice. So, nice to see everybody. Daisha is going to help me out a little bit today.
Yeah, sorry, commissioners. Poor Ron's voice. He was out in the cold and rain looking at opportunities and caught up with them. So he has provided me with his talking points. And then I will turn it over to Chair Hout for him to be able to provide input. So we're really doing two things this afternoon. The first one is just to keep you apprised, as we always do, on what's occurring in the program. You heard a little bit during public testimony. Art Stevenson is retiring after many years of participation in the Business Enterprise Program. So there is going to be a vacancy coming up for that particular opportunity. So Ron's talking points, I'll just kind of go through them. The first thing is really exciting. So right now we have 14 licensed vending facility managers, and 1 retiring in May. And Ron has identified 20 and 2 is what he is calling it. So 20 vending facility managers within the next 2 years. So he set out a goal for a target for us having 20 vending facility managers, which means we need to have viable facilities for those vending facility managers to make a living in the next 2 years. So that's his North Star. And we're all really, really excited about that. I cannot recall in my tenure as executive director if we've had 20 vending facility managers. So we're really excited about the energy that's going behind that initiative. The next item that you have maybe heard during public testimony is in the vending machine area, if we have not identified a vending machine route or facility, if there are vending machines that are in public locations that we have been informed of, there are times where if we don't have a vending facility manager to assign it to or a route established, we will take over that in a subcontracted arrangement, and the revenue goes into the set-aside account that's used for business enterprise program allowable purposes. So right now we have a sufficient amount of kind of opportunities in a geographic area in the West Portland area that we anticipate being able to establish the first new vending route in the next 60 days or so. So that's another really exciting thing that we're creating, is another opportunity for an entrepreneur, and they will be servicing a large portion of their route directly themselves. So really excited to hear about that. This has been an issue that the elected committee has been concerned about for some time. They wanted to be creating opportunities for entrepreneurs. And so Ron has heard this concern and is taking action shortly after he started his job. So really excited to see that. And then the other thing that Ron has been working on with active participation of the elected committee is really thinking about equity in the program, looking at this revenue with the money that comes in through these subcontracted vending machines. For those opportunities that are not sufficient to actually create a vending facility route, looking at individuals who actually have current facilities that aren't as financially viable as others, to assign that vending, the vending machines to specific facilities to increase their income. So that the goal is to make the income more equitable across the program. The other item that Ron talked about, which you've already heard some positive remarks from Chair Hout, is really working to improve the communication and partnership and active participation with the BECC. And I'm really to hear that that's has been intending it. I know that partnership is really, really important to him, and he is working hard to continue to move the program forward with that. The other element that we wanted to just keep you informed of, with life becomes, there's always an element of change. For the last several years, you've been hearing us talk and brag about the success of the South Falls Cafe at Silver Falls State Park. Well, the South Falls Cafe, starting this October, is going to be closed pending renovation. And they're actually going to fully renovate not only that cafe, but they have an attached conference facility. And they're going to make it, totally transform it into something, a type of operation that will not fall under the priority of the business enterprise program. But in exchange, recognizing that this is a impact to the business enterprise program, and Sal, who's the vending facility manager associated with it, they have offered a couple of things. They've offered a future location in another area of the park that we are really excited about. That could be a venue for weddings and other opportunities that could be a food option for individuals who visit the park and are camping at the park. The other thing that we're really excited about, and I'm kind of bearing the lead a little bit, is they are offering the agency the ability to bring in food trucks, not food carts, to all of the state parks, but specifically Silver Falls Park as a starter. And we're really, really excited about this opportunity. And Ron has obviously expertise in, running restaurants and catering and all of the things that you would need in order to be able to take advantage of this. And we think that the food truck model has some significant potential to not only expand the business enterprise program, but really, really be profitable year round based on just events and kind of the culture that has been created in Oregon around kind of these food kind of concept trucks that can go in. So we're currently in the process of looking and exploring that option, as well as other ways of profitability around boxed lunches and trying to leverage the procurement authority that we have and make that more visible in you may have heard Kat Martin talk about Oregon Buys, which is the state procurement system, so that perhaps we can have some food sandwich box options for state agencies when they're doing working lunches or whatever, to be able to buy from an entrepreneur who is blind. And, all of this stuff is only going to be possible if we have people in the program. So the other thing that we're really excited about is working on thinking outside of the box, methods of trying to recruit potential individuals who are interested and passionate about providing food service and vending customer service to individuals and customers in public buildings throughout the state and also public parks. So I think that's it. And I know, Ron, you can't talk much, but if I mess something up, you could maybe whisper to the group if there's something that you would like to add.
No, that was great. Thank you.
All right, before we turn it over to Chair Howe, any questions or comments? Commissioners?
This is Scott. That sounds like an amazing opportunity. I hope we can get some people that are interested in that, train those folks up, and get some cool food trucks out there in these state parks. I think that'd be really just awesome.
I know, right? We're really excited. Ron was talking about branding it, so it has some specific business enterprise program, look to it and feel. And I know I'm gonna have to rewatch the great food truck race shows from the Food Network, to get all excited about it. But we do think it has great potential. And not only they do not allow food trucks in state parks currently, but they would allow it for us. So if you think about all the parks in Oregon, and trying to figure out the opportunities that could create through that, and then there's so many events and venues that we could pull up to year round that could make it, not just a seasonal activity, but a really solid, profitable facility on wheels.
This is Cassie. I really love this idea. Here in our area, we actually have a lot of food trucks and we literally use them a lot. And I think with our business enterprises, seeing what our focus is, I think the one-on-one customer service that we could give from a food truck would actually really increase like what we do in the community and make our presence a lot more known. So I'm really excited about this possibility.
Thank you, Cassie. Me too. Other questions or comments? Well, I think that as you can see, the kind of as we move from kind of the operational focus to the kind of the future strategy-based focus, there is a lot of forward momentum and trying to think about not only how to do what's right for the current entrepreneurs and vending facility managers in the program, but Ron's really looking towards the future. And the big piece, obviously, is increasing profitability for the current vending facility managers, increasing equity in the program, but also growing the program. I think that's something that you've heard over the years, being a vision of the BECC, and Ron is hearing that vision and willing to roll up his sleeves alongside the elected committee to try to make that happen. Our referrals come from the vocational rehabilitation program. So I think that's the other element, is the more excitement and buzz we can generate about these new and innovative ways to make a living, then I think we'll just have a better opportunity to actually recruit individuals who are passionate about getting into the world of food service. It is not easy work, but it can be, as Mr. Stevenson articulated earlier, very rewarding. It can support you and your family. And we're hoping that we can continue to expand and grow the program. All right, not hearing anything else, it is my pleasure to introduce Chair of the Business Enterprise Consumer Committee, Randy Hout. He introduced himself in the audience introduction, but Randy has graciously agreed to join you commissioners this afternoon to really just talk through from his perspective what he would like to see in the program and how you can consider some of his thoughts and opinions as we try to inform the strategic plan and budget priorities for the agency moving forward. So welcome, Chair Hout.
Well, thank you very much, Dacia, and good afternoon, commissioners and audience members. I'm not going to waste anybody's time by repeating what Dacia provided through Ron's talking points. A lot of those talking points Ron and I over the last 3 months have had back and forth discussion about, and as well as the elected committee. A couple of good things. I'm here to support the new energy, the new direction, and from my perspective, how do we get things done instead of how do we not get things done, right? So Ron has a lot of energy, he has a lot of knowledge, and like Dacia said, he comes from that background of food service. One of the things that Ron maybe was a little bit not so familiar with, but is more familiar with now, was the vending component of the business enterprise program, right? So cafeterias and cafes, for the most part, have changed significantly. They were changing before COVID. You know, it wasn't the old comfort food anymore with the scramble systems in the cafeterias where, you know, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people would come down and get macaroni and cheese and mashed potatoes. It just wasn't doing that anymore. It's changed to micro markets, grab and go, and vending, and more convenience type items. So I had asked Ron if he would like to get some hands-on experience. Would he like to do a ride along with us one day out on the route? And so not only did Ron join in, but new licensee who I'm extremely excited about joining the program was Skylar. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but that doesn't matter. I'm sure you'll hear him soon. But they both rode along and they understood the dynamics of vending, you know, how to do inventory, how to set the par levels, how to navigate those nuances with the vending industry. And it was a fun day. It was a good day. And I think they got a much more appreciation. Like Dacia said, it's not easy work, it's hard work. And like Art said, hard work, but it can make a good livelihood. One of the things that Ron and I talked about when he said, look, I have a vision for growing the program. I said, that's wonderful. He said, I'm looking at 20 people in 2 years. I said, that's great. The 20 people, though, they need to be working, right? They need to have facilities. And we don't mean minuscule, financially rewarding facilities. We mean good, strong, remunerative, enlarged economic opportunities for entrepreneurs. Because even though we work under the Commission for the Blind's licensing agreement with RSA and the state of Oregon, we are still entrepreneurs. We file our own taxes, we incur our own losses, we incur our own profitability. And the program is about enlarging the economic opportunities. There's really not supposed to be a limit. I do agree with getting equitable people and getting those unassigned vendings like Dacia had talked about that maybe perhaps cannot make a facility, right? Our end goal is getting facilities, getting good facilities, and getting people licensed, trained, and installed. But on some of the others, how do we help people who maybe are struggling? First, we help them by making sure that they're doing the best they can do in their business, right? Is there something that's maybe missing, or is it just an opportunity that's not enhancing their financial opportunities? So those are one of the things we talked about. We also talked about the food trucks. And I can tell you the elected committee and the vendors I've talked to, even though it's new on, Ron's only been here, I think, a little bit over 3 months, everybody's excited, and it's not perfect right yet. There's a big learning curve. This program is complicated and complex. I mean, it can be simple, but in many ways it's complicated and complex. And I know Ron is trying to get his mind around understanding this, and also government, right? Government works different than private industry. So again, we're real happy with the food truck idea and the catering idea, and taking that unassigned vending and helping to support blind vendors' incomes, and also about growing the program, because without growth, we don't exist, right? Nationally, the program has seen a reduction in its numbers. Pandemic didn't help, but there's other things that are going on. But what I've seen is not as many people, but the facilities that blind vendors have across the land are making a lot more money. I mean, there's some people that make millions of dollars a year. Maybe not in the opportunities we have here in Oregon, but in some of the food service, serving the troops, and doing some of the dining halls. And there are some very lucrative vending facilities, gift shops, micro markets out there. And so my hat's off to Ron and Dacia for trying to envision a new, bigger, brighter program. And one of the things I will say is, which we didn't really have in the past, that most every vendor I will share with you would confirm, but communication. Ron is trying to get it right. He's trying to understand. He's using us as a sounding board, as well, he should, through active participation, but he wants to do that, right? And so we really like the new effort and energy, and we want to go from being one of the lower performing states to one of the higher performing states. And so hopefully working together, we can do that. And thank you for the time, and we'll talk again.
Thank you so much, Randy. Questions, comments, commissioners?
Randy, this is Scott. So it's fair to say the program seems to be going in a better direction now. per your opinion?
Yes, and with the other vendors that I've talked to. So it's not just mine, but yes, mine and the others. Yes, sure does. I mean, we got, nothing's gonna happen overnight, right? And not everything's gonna be perfect, but we are, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step or whatever, that was. But we are heading in that direction, and we're really happy and optimistic about that. So yes.
Is there anything that you think we need to really be thinking about as we're thinking about the strategic plan, other than it seems we're going in the right direction now? Is there any specific points you'd like us to be considering as we think about the strategic planning process?
I think, profitability, I think that's always a key component of successful opportunities. Years and years and years ago, I'm not talking about the Oregon State Licensing Agency, but many licensing agencies across the land were happy to get a check mark just to bring a person into the program and maybe put them down in the courthouse under the stairwell selling Clark bars, and not making any money. But again, touting that, look we employed somebody. So we're not seeing that anymore. And I'm certainly not hearing that from Ron. Just keep in mind when we're making these opportunities, let's make them together. Let's discuss them, and let's make sure that they are going to be financially rewarding. So that's, I guess, the thing that sticks in my mind. So
excellent. Thank you, Randy. Any other questions from other commissioners or comments? Okay, hearing none. Thanks again, Randy, for being here. Ron, thanks for your good work. This is a different tone than we've heard. Gosh, in my tenure here, which is it's feel like I've been here for a long time now. So it's nice to hear the positivity and that they're constantly singing your praises. They meaning the BE program folks, and so keep up that good work and keep thinking outside the box and helping this program grow and helping these individuals achieve that level of profitability that we all want. So good work, Ron.
Thank you.
All right, with that, we will move into our next agenda item with the agency strategic planning development 24 through 27. Pete, I'm guessing that's you.
Yes, it's me, and glad to be here with all of you. I would say it's me, but probably mostly Daisha, because she has been working diligently on some updates to the strategic plan and trying to consolidate some of the messaging in a digestible way to kind of focus on, okay, here are our priority areas, but also here's some of the things that we're going to try to work on. So really, I'm going to turn it over to her to kind of give you an overview of what she's built through the last few weeks since we last talked.
Thank you, Pete. And I do think, commissioners, it's helpful for us to just think about as we're creating our strategic plan for 2024 through 2027. It's like, how did we start this process again? And just a refresher, we started in October with really just trying to think about our current strategic plan and getting your input into what that looks like and whether or not we were going in the right direction from your perspective. And then we followed that up with an engaging conversation in December, doing our first ever, to my knowledge, PESL, which is looking at the organization through a political lens, economical lens, social, technology, legal, and environmental, and trying to think about that and challenge ourselves to go through that opportunity. And then we followed it up with a more detailed substantive discussion in February around the current strategic priorities and kind of challenging ourselves to think about what we should start? What should we stop? And what should we continue? And we heard loud and clear from that conversation that you all had together that you were very comfortable with the overall direction of the organization in terms of identifying what was important. But you also were open to the possibilities of what I'm going to affectionately say, mixing things up, but just really continuing to challenge ourselves to look at the next elements for the organization. And so what we heard is you were not opposed to thinking for the what's next for the agency and what we should be focusing on, but you also didn't want to lose sight of some of the elements that you felt were important in the current strategic plan. So we took that information in and we did a couple of things. The first thing that we did was use the expertise of Pete Pandy, and Pete appropriately said, you know, your strategic plan doesn't really have all of the elements it could have to be a really strong strategic plan. And he really challenged us to think about it in terms of progress objectives, like what we are focusing on, but also what are we trying to do specifically to make progress in the areas. So I had to wrap my mind around that for a little bit. And so what we did was we retooled in the form of an executive summary, a document that I'm hoping captured your feedback from February, incorporates the PESL information that you provided input into in December, but it also has the momentum moving forward to really think about how will we know through progress objectives that we will be successful in each of the areas. So we have created a document. Again, this is just for your eyes at this point, that has, each section has a focus area, what we are calling a strategic priority, progress objectives, and then a principle in terms of the kind of the grounding force in terms of what we are trying to do on behalf of the broader policy issues facing Oregon that relate to the work that we do here at the Commission for the Blind. So the first focus area, and these will not look different to you because they hopefully will reflect your feedback from February. The first focus is workforce participation. And then the strategic priority is for us to really focus on increasing the workforce participation rate and job retention of job seekers who experience vision loss. And then the progress objectives are more of the metrics focused to really increasing the job retention at second and fourth quarter post-exit, maximizing opportunities to provide information referral for behavioral and mental health supports, ensuring students exiting high school have a plan for employment. The principle being Oregon's workforce is stronger when it reflects the entire community, inclusive of citizens with disability. The next focus, aging in Oregon, the strategic priority is to improve access and timeliness of independent living services throughout Oregon. Progress objectives, reducing wait time, increasing statewide community engagement and outreach, and tools and resources to increase independence and improve quality of life. Principle being aging Oregonians deserve to remain in their homes and communities where they can continue to remain connected and engaged. The next focus, succession planning. Strategic priority is to recruit and retain specialized staff that deliver exemplary services to our clients. Progress objectives, reduce employee turnover rate, increase the percentage of successful recruitments, increase professional development for existing staff. The principle, exemplary services require the recruitment and retention of specialized staff who are committed to the work. The next focus is business and community agency partnerships. The strategic priority is agency partnerships strengthen and improve access and opportunities for all Oregonians who experience vision loss. Progress objectives, increase repeat customers among businesses in Oregon that are recruiting and hiring job seekers who are blind, support business enterprise entrepreneurs to operate profitable, thriving businesses in public locations, collaborate with communities to prioritize accessibility as a key element of inclusion for everyone. The principle being business engagement and successful entrepreneurs who are blind increase the diversity of our workforce and are good for the economy. And the next element is customer service. And the strategic priority agency business processes, resources, and infrastructure are responsive to the needs of our customers. The progress objectives, maximizing technology and tools to optimize performance and boost efficiencies. Engage with statewide systems, the information technology resources. Engage stakeholders with timely communication and responsive service delivery. And the principle being business efficiencies and optimization increase the capacity to deliver timely and accurate services. So that is a mouthful, but Pete has joined us to really just facilitate a conversation and hopefully kind of capture your reactions and your thoughts to the information that we've provided in response to the work that's happened up to date.
Very good. And to give Dacia credit, I mean, I made some suggestions and she put this together. So my being here is not as author, but just as sort of advisor. So hopefully you had a time to digest that. These, as she described, the focus areas are the same as the ones we've seen before, but now with more targeted language. So really the biggest question would be if there's anything, any questions you have about any of the things that has been covered in the summary, areas where maybe you want more detail or where you're not sure it's been expressed properly, or just anything you heard and observed in this that would say, well, I'd really like to see us think a little more this way, or obviously areas you think of all the things we heard, I would prefer we kind of focus more on this versus others, because it's a pretty long list of things. So that's really what we're opening the floor for you to share your thoughts.
This is Scott. I was happy to see profitable and thriving businesses. I heard Randy say that's a priority, and it seems to align really well with what Randy shared with us earlier. As it relates to the third bullet within that business and community piece, where it says collaborate with communities to prioritize accessibility as a key element of inclusion for everyone. I wonder if we shouldn't also add into that communities piece and call out state government as an individual who works in state government. I find that many of our processes are not accessible, and it's very disheartening personally as someone. I want to be able to hire people who are blind into any position, and when our own sorry, this gets me emotional like everything else. When our own processes in state government aren't accessible, it just drives me absolutely batty. And so I know we as agencies who work for and with blind people prioritize this, but I feel like we need to continue to push that envelope with state government. They're a major employer in our states, and it just needs to be accessible. And so I wouldn't mind seeing state government called out specifically. I know communities is inclusive of state government, but whatever we can do to support all those state agencies being accessible from the ground up, that's my soapbox, and I'll get off it now.
Really good suggestions.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I certainly wouldn't say, the gap has been closed dramatically, but I would say over the past couple of years, I'm in the agencies that I'm working with, seeing much more active attention to some of the things you're talking about. Just doing a strategic plan with another agency right now, and they're going through and doing an accessibility review where, 4 years ago, no one ever would have mentioned it. So hopefully that's a good sign.
Yeah, no, Pete, I think it is. And but it's because people like us keep pushing, and we need to keep pushing. And particularly for non-visual access, I think a lot of times people overlook how accessibility, what that really means. Like they get it to on a base level, but when it comes to non-visual access, a lot of people don't understand it. And so yeah, anyway, I appreciate, yes, you're right. We are making progress, but we need to keep pushing.
For sure. Good comment. Other areas where you see gaps or areas that you'd have questions on?
If you don't mind, commissioners, if it would be helpful if you could share, does this reflect or resonate with you in terms of what you were sharing in February? We were hoping to strike the right balance, right, of kind of capturing a future focus, but also I don't want to detract from what you said should stay. Was there enough of that familiarity of the things that you wanted us to continue?
This is Nadira. Sorry, I was struggling with I had oral surgery 2 days ago, so please forgive me for if I sound a little like Elmer Fudd. So I really want to say that this does resonate with me. I'm really pleased that you have the more targeted language. And just to follow up on what Scott was saying, I agree. We do need to try to hold state processes accountable. Just to say that when I started as a commissioner, I was kind of taken aback to going to the board training to do the training and find drag and drop exercises, which I did send an email about. So I'm very glad that I haven't encountered any more of them over the past couple of years. So it kind of does help when you speak out about these things. And I'm very passionate about the retaining suitably qualified staff. It's one thing to try to hire, yes, with all the challenges, it's hard to find suitably qualified staff, but retaining the ones you have. And just a quick comment, I just want to commend my former instructor, Julie Wilkinson. I had an issue that I needed help with last week, and I called, and she was very quick to get back to me to help me with this. So kudos to the staff you do have right now. Yeah, that's my 2 cents. Just staying on track with these goals, these priorities, even in spite of all the challenges we're having.
Thank you.
This is Alan. I think this is great. I really like the plan. It resonates with me, and it's kind of like all the things that I kind of wish for all of my patients. But I have a question in regards to the workforce participation in where it says in the progress objective, the first bullet point, increase the job retention in the second and fourth quarters post exit. Can you help me understand why the second and fourth quarters?
Yeah, that's a good question. Those are metrics actually that the Rehabilitation Services Administration, and actually it's a common performance measure for the entire workforce system that's funded under the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. So that is a metric that we grab. And so we keep folks open at least 90 days before we close them. It's usually 2 or 3 times that length, typically, because we want to make sure that the job is stable, the technology is working, and the individual is comfortable with the closure. But then post exit, so when we close them, we consider them exiting the VR system. And then we grab wage data 2 quarters post exit, and then again 4 quarters post exit. And so our goal is to help not only the individual be successful in getting the job, but we know that career longevity, that's where people make more money, they get increase in benefits, and all of those other things. So our goal is to make sure that not only are people successful in getting a job, but they can keep it and keep it long term.
Oh, that makes sense. Thank you, Daisha.
Sure.
Very good. Other questions or comments?
This is Nadira again. So I just have a question about the unemployment rate among blind people. If anyone knows, has that figure changed?
Yeah, that's a great question. For many, many years there that you would hear there's a 70% unemployment rate. There actually has been some data, and we can share. I have some data, some articles from some national disability statistics organizations that actually says that the workforce participation rate, which is how they measure that, for individuals with disabilities actually has gone up. It's at the highest it's ever been. So the needle has moved significantly. So I think it's moved closer to, so the workforce participation rate, if you think about if unemployment was 70%, then the workforce participation rate is 30%, it's closer to 40 in the most recent statistics that I've seen. So it is going up nationally, and it actually went up significantly, ironically, during the pandemic, if you can believe that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good question.
And this is
Max,
Scott.
so this have to mark that so I can remember to give some of the data.
Some of that initial that 70 or 75% unemployment rate that a lot of us used to hear was based on some faulty data or some faulty data analysis that wasn't necessarily aligned with the actual number of folks that were looking for work. And so there have been some recent research articles in professional journals that have sort of debunked that. All that said, it's not high enough. And we want to make sure that everyone who is seeking employment is able to find employment. And so our work continues.
So I was going to ask our newest commissioner if she might have any comments, since you're coming into this fresh and might offer a new perspective. It looked like you were going to say something because it has a little green box that you can't see that goes around your name flash, meaning your mic was live. Anyway, you're not required to say anything, but I thought it might be nice to hear from you.
I figured I would just come in. I knew I haven't been here for this whole process, but reading through what I've been able to, it's a lot. But I do resonate with a lot of what's being said. I'm still trying to wrap my head around a lot of it because this is a very new opportunity for me. There's a lot more information flying around. But I do agree with some of the comments that have been made. Like one of the other, I totally spaced her name, but even with some of the stuff that I've started doing with like Workday and stuff, there's been some struggles. I'm now working with a new program that's helped me out a lot. I'm actually legally blind myself. But I think with what we're trying to do, if we hold everybody accountable across the board, I think that's going to help out a lot. But I am still reading through this document, and I'm hoping that I will be able to finish getting through it to be able to have some more perspective on the actual plan moving forward.
Great. Well, it's nice to hear your comments. And if you have questions after the meeting, I think Daisha probably the best source to reach out to as you go through it. So it's a lot to learn, as everybody knows who's been through this process in a short period. It's just the typical fire hydrant drinking process. So you have to be, willing to say, hey, I got a question. So don't be shy. Great. So any other input questions? So Daisha, your next steps with this then are to flesh out take the larger document and kind of structure it again a little bit more around this as the outline, I guess. Is that correct?
Yeah, so commissioners, my goal is to take the feedback that you provided us today. We would like to provide an opportunity for staff to weigh in this process. And so we will have a conversation with the staff. And then the goal will be to take in your feedback from today, the staff's feedback, and create an actual larger strategic plan that includes the executive summary, but also all of the other elements that were involved with the previous plan, and present that to you for consideration at your June meeting.
Okay.
Did that sound okay to everybody?
That sounds good.
Yes.
All right. Chair McCallum, I think we can turn this back over to you.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. I guess I want to thank the commission staff that are here. Welcome, Cassie, to our group once again, and thank Vivian for your many years of service. We appreciate you both. Also want to thank Amber, Carrie, Randy, Susan, Arthur, and Mary Lee for being here today. Mary Lee, it's been a long time, so it's really great to see your face.
Thank you.
Wish you all a happy Friday and hope you have a wonderful weekend. It's 2:42 and this meeting is adjourned.